What's going on, guys? Paranoid back here bringing you another video. What I got for you guys today is someone the other day in my comments asked me to explain my enlistment process a little bit more and what I went through to enlist. So my enlistment process took over a year, and I think it was a year to the days when I depped in. So for those of you guys who don't know, when I started my enlistment process, I was 270 pounds at 6 foot tall. My recruiter told me I needed to be 190 to enlist, and I said, all right, well, I really want this, so it's time to start cutting. So it took me many months to cut all the weight. I had setbacks, I cheated on my diet, and it took me a while. I think it took me 10 months to get down to the weight I needed to be before I finally depped in. But my enlistment process was a little like this, and I'm pretty sure it's kind of similar to everyone else's. There were some rough patches, but I started out by going into my recruiter's office on August 22nd of 2016. I walked in, I talked to him about what I needed to do. He gave me a card, told me to keep in touch, and I said okay. So I started cutting weight, and then I kept in touch with him, told him how I was coming along with my weight, told him I was still serious about it, and that I'm going to be in there when I hit my goal weight. And so around, I think it was January 27th, is the day I went in and I took my first practice ASVAB, and on my first practice ASVAB I got like I think I got like a 78 on my practice, and he was like, alright, that's a really good score, you know. He's like, most people don't even score that well on the practice, and I was like, I don't know what a good score is, but I'll take it if you say it's good. So from there on, him and I started, once he saw that I had a higher score, he started taking me a lot more serious, I guess. And it was weird because I felt like it was more along the lines of he didn't think I was going to be like a good candidate, I guess, because I was overweight, and I don't know if he thought I was just going to be not the brightest crayon in the box. But from there, I kept cutting and cutting, and I'd have weekly, I'd meet up with him, and I'd meet up, and we'd check my weight. We'd talk about if I'm still serious about it, you know, things like that. And he would ask me how my diet's going, things like that, just to check and see if I was wasting his time or not, I guess, in a sense. And when I started getting down really close to the point of where I need to take the ASVAB, because I think I was at 210, and I was like, well, I mean, I got to take the ASVAB, you know, I'm getting close. So I took the ASVAB. I got an 80 something on the ASVAB, I think, and it was in the 80s. And I sent him my score, or he got my score through email. And so when I called him, he was shocked. He was like, dude, what? Like, I think he thought honestly, he thought I was dumb, is what I got from that. Because the sound in his voice when he said, you got an 80, right, 82, whatever it was, I was kind of, I was kind of upset that he was like that shocked, you know. But from then on, to get back into MEPS, it was almost impossible to ever get a hold of my recruiter, because he was going through some personal stuff, and I'm not going to get into that, obviously, because it's not my business. I know what was happening now, because he talked to me about it after, but getting him to book me for anything, weigh-ins at MEPS, my processes for anything, was almost impossible. From the time that I finally made the correct weight, so I went in, he told me I was 6'1", and I needed to be 203 pounds or lighter. Well, I went into the weigh-in at 199 pounds. Well, when I got there, they measured me at 6 foot. He was giving me an inch on my height. He was pushing it. And so when I went in and I was only 6 foot, they told me you have to be under 197. So they said, you can't be here. So I had a month probation period before I could go back and weigh again. And the thing was, it was only 2 pounds. I could cut that. It wasn't anything difficult, you know. But I also was not able to pee that day because I'm gonna be honest, I dehydrated myself to get down to that weight because I was struggling. And so when it came time to pee, I couldn't pee. So after I weighed in, I went and chugged water, and I wasn't able to do it. And so they told me, you have 3 days to come back and take a pee test, or you have a 6-month probation period, because they think at that point, they think you're just hiding something, is what I got from it, and they think that you're just hiding the fact that you're doing drugs. And so 3 days later, I went back in there, and I thought I was going to be able to weigh, because my recruiter told me he talked to the people at MEPS and said it was a misunderstanding on his part, and that I should be able to weigh. Well, when I got down there, they told me, you're not weighing today. And so I was like, well, all right. So I started sucking water down like no other. I had a gallon in my backpack. I finished the gallon. Finally was able to go to the bathroom, and then I went home. Well, when I got home, I took my diet a lot more seriously, and I ended up cutting down to like 188 pounds, I think is what I got down to before I left for basic. And so I went back in the recruiter's office at 188 pounds, and he sent me back to MEPS the following day. He got me a spot. And so I went into MEPS, weighed in, and everything, and I was good to go. Mobility was fine, joints were fine, everything else. Got my blood taken, everything was good. And so they sent me into the back to talk to my liaison, and what happened was he told me that I was going to dep in that day as well. So I went in, I waited in the back for 2 hours just sitting there, and they're like, okay, you're going to dep in a little bit. Well, eventually a liaison came out and said, you're not depping in today, call a ride to go home. And I was like, I just spent 2 hours of my day sitting here for you to tell me I have to leave. And I was like, all right, call my buddy Austin, tell him to come pick me up. And it's a 45-minute drive from where we live. So he was probably 10 minutes away when the recruiter or the liaison came back out and said, he called my last name, he's all, Belfance. And I stood up, I was like, yes, sir. And he's like, come back in here real quick. And so I walk in his office. He's like, I pushed your paperwork to the top. I saw what you did to get in here. I'm going to make sure you dep in today. And I was like, he's all, call your buddy, tell him not to come. So I called my buddy. I'm like, hey, bro, where you at? He goes, I'm around the corner. Why? I'm like, they said I can dep in today. I probably won't be done for another 3.5 hours. And I was like, he's all right. So he heads home. Well, I went and I depped in, and then they called me back, and he's like, look, I have a job for you if you want to take it. It leaves in 4 days. And I was like, well, what's your job? Like, what's the job going to be? And he said, it's RF Transmission Systems 3D1X3. And I sat there and I was like, oh, wow. I mean, I've been working for this for a year, because the day I depped in was a year to the day I started cutting weight. And I thought to myself, should I take this? You know, and I was freaking out. I was panicking. I was trying to get a hold of my stepdad, who is Air Force as well. And he told me, he finally answered, and he's like, you know, if you think it's a good opportunity, take the offer. You know, I'll just rip the Band-Aid off. You've been here for too long, because I was nervous about going to basic, as I'm sure a lot of people are, because I've never had that kind of a change in my life. And so I said, you know, I'll take the job. And I went home and I talked to my family and friends. I was like, hey guys, I leave in 4 days. If you guys want to see me, now's the time. I'm not going to be back for a really long time, you know. Because I left in August. I didn't get to come home till Exodus. So in December, I finally saw friends and family. And then I don't get to go home again till May. So that was unfortunate. But I got on the plane and I left, you know. And that was, I mean, at the end of the day, your recruiting process is going to be it can be the most you make of it. Mine was a little bit different than most, because I had to lose 80 pounds to enlist, and that's why it took a little longer. But as long as you're there, make sure you ask the right questions. Don't let your recruiters try to tell you you're going to get all these bonuses or you're going to get this and that. Make sure you do your research. Don't let them fool you, because I know a lot of people who've gotten tricked into things, and their recruiter lied to them, and it looks bad on you, because you think you're getting all the stuff and you hype it up and you're like, yeah, I'm getting this bonus, I'm doing this and that, and then you come to sign your contract and none of that's in your contract. And at that point you've already signed it because you didn't read it. Because there's a couple people at MEPS that were expecting bonuses in their contract, and they signed them, and then afterwards they found out you're not getting a bonus. So just make sure you're looking out for what you need to in your process going with your recruiter. Make sure that you ask all the right questions. And yeah, I mean, that's my recruited process. It's my experience. A little different than everyone else's, obviously, like I said. But I hope you guys learn a little bit from this. Just make sure you're knowledgeable on what you're asking. Make sure you know what jobs you want, and make sure you're ready to go for basic, you know. But that's going to do it all for today. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. It'll be down in the description below. And if you guys have any other video ideas, let me know in the comments. I can cover more Air Force topics. I'm sorry if this didn't help you as much as it should have. I did my best with my process as much as I could, but that's gonna be it. Thank you all for tuning in. Peace out. I love you all, and stay paranoid.